Crypto is up big today as April 2nd, Trump's tariff judgment day, now looks like it might be more bark than bite. Meaning, the bull market is back on, prepare for a historic pump, especially as just in, Hong Kong ETF issuer confirms that China is actively preparing a shift into Bitcoin and crypto. China is a huge global market. I'm not surprised they're doing this.
Sort of forward push by Hong Kong at the moment, a sign that trading and crypto could return to the mainland, which of course would be a huge boost for the market.
That's an interesting question. You know, Hong Kong is always the gateway to the Chinese mainland market, and Hong Kong is always used as the lab for experiments, either in economies or in new industries or new sectors. From what we run regulated exchange, regulated funds in Hong Kong. From our conversations with the regulators, I think in a way they are trying their best to use the one country, two systems as an experiment. If it's successful, I think there is the possibility the mainland China government will reconsider their stance towards the crypto and Web3 industry.
Do you think that's inevitable? Do you think the mainland government will definitely bring crypto back, or it's still a wait and see?
You know, for a government to have a clear message, it takes time. From what I know so far, our conversations with the mainland professionals and related sources, I think they are now looking at the market and see what's going on in other countries, what's happening in Web3 industries, and then they may come up with their response.
At the same time, Senator Cynthia Lummis confirming that President Donald Trump is with us and on board on the U.S. buying 1 million Bitcoin. Listen to this.
I'd like to announce that we will be reintroducing the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve today, the Bitcoin Act in the Senate. So far, original co-sponsors are Tuberville, Blackburn, Marshall, Sullivan, Marino, and Justice. We have a couple more feelers out for original co-sponsors today, but the House as well, through Nick Begich, has 6 original co-sponsors. The momentum is in our hands, and we need to make this happen. Thankfully, President Trump is with us, and the opportunities are boundless. Thank you for being at this conference. Thank you for making it so very special. And I will turn it back to the Bitcoin Policy Institute. Thank you very much.
And with China getting involved, with the U.S. getting involved, a German parliament member has just went on record saying that if the U.S. starts buying Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, then she thinks all European countries will start doing it, including Germany.
I think if the United States starts and buys Bitcoin as a strategic reserve or something like that, then I think all the European countries, with a little bit of delay, they will get FOMO. They will get the fear of missing out. So there's a lot of pressure now on the American colleagues here to do something about it, because it's always the states who start first. And so maybe that has an impact.
Prepare for a historic pump. Bitcoin's price is going to hit $1 million within 4 years. And this isn't according to me. This is according to CIO of Bitwise, Matt Hogan. Listen to this.
My favorite view of the value of Bitcoin on a long-term basis is to look at the size of the market it's going after. I think Bitcoin is well on its way to disrupting gold. That's a $20 trillion market. I think it's going to be used for international transaction and cross-border transactions. That's another many trillion-dollar market. And then you can divide that by the number of Bitcoin and you end up with a target amount. At Bitwise, we think it's going to cross $1 million by 2029. I think from a shorter-term perspective, you can just look at supply and demand in the market. Yeah. Right? The big criticism of Bitcoin is the price is set by supply and demand. But that's also a real benefit when you're in a market like today, where again, we're producing 160,000 Bitcoin a year and ETFs are buying 500,000. Right? Something has to give. And I think what gives is price resistance, and ultimately it goes higher.
So I originally thought this prediction was a little too bullish, 1 million in 4 years, until I heard more of his explanation. Because Understand, Matt Hogan has his finger on the pulse when it comes to what institutions are doing. And here he explains how Bitwise is actively working with pension funds and other institutions, and they're on a buying spree right now, and they're going to continue being on a buying spree, like in an increasing manner.
I think every pension fund should be allocated to Bitcoin. When I was a reporter, I covered just how so many of these pension funds are essentially underwater. It's so sad. But I heard actually, and I'm curious if you could tell me if this is true, that let's say there's a pension fund interested in allocating to Bitcoin. They actually have to go out and meet with a consultant for the consultant to do due diligence on Bitcoin. And that could take months and months. And if the consultant says, no, you shouldn't invest in it, then they just pass on it. Is that true? Are there gatekeepers?
It's mostly true. Yeah. So, I mean, the deep institutional investor market is a market with tier after tier after tier, because those people want their jobs. And if it goes wrong, they want someone to point at and say it was their fault. That said, we've been working with a number of consultants for a significant number of years, and many of them are already allocating. That's why you're starting to see this bubble up through the end. I'll add one more thought from an institutional perspective, because I think people overlook it. Crypto's a $3 trillion market right now. If you have a 0% allocation to crypto, you're effectively short.
Yeah.
Right. When we talk about people allocating 1 or 2% to Bitcoin, that's just to get to neutral. And I think institutions are starting to recognize that. Once you accept it as part of this pie, you need to have at least a little bit, or you're making an active bet against it. And they're not comfortable doing that either. So I think you're going to see this 1-2% thing really take off at the institutional level over the next few years.
Look, guys, we now see that BlackRock has been on a significant buying spree, Ethereum heavy, but both Bitcoin and Ethereum on this dip. We see many financial services companies now revealing that they're doubling down on this space. And it's interesting to see so many of these big players getting in on Ethereum like this, just when Ethereum's price has been at such a low, but they were buying that dip. This is how it always happens. And it's no wonder the world is realizing what subscribers of this channel have known for years, that Bitcoin and crypto is revolutionary. It's here to stay. It's an improvement on the previous status quo. I love this story. This is what the world was like for Michael Saylor before he realized he could use Bitcoin.
I had $1 million in a bank in Argentina 20 years ago. It was in US dollars. The peso was 1 to the dollar. The Argentine government sent a memo to the banks, forcibly converted everybody's dollars to pesos, and then forcibly devalued the peso 10 for 1. And I woke up the next morning and I had $100,000. I had $1 million the day before. They stole 90% of all the currency from everybody in the country overnight on a fax, without a law, without an army. Now, how hard would it be to take all of the property or of everybody in the country with Bitcoin? You have to go arrest 60 million people, sweat them all in a jail for 90 days. How do you arrest 60 million people and sweat them in jail for 90 days? It's like 1 billion times harder.
So much is happening in this space. Make sure you check out our top altcoin video from yesterday. I'm still hugely bullish on crypto in 2025. Make sure you follow along. We keep you updated on a daily basis. My name is Aaron. See you tomorrow.